4. So basically, in this session, in this activity practice session, we discussed the questions and query related to the activity and practice questions that had been covered in the lectures so far. So yeah, today we are expecting some queries regarding activity and practice, as well as the concept that you have had been covered in the lectures also. So yeah, so before going into the session, let me just have an idea upon that, which all of you had completed watching videos, or just reached half of it, or attempted the activity questions, or you had done with the practice and activity questions. So can you give me some idea that where on which stage? Anyone else who wants to share that how about their experience about these weeks, and what kind of things they are expecting, and what things they are if they are facing any issues, and kind of observation related to this week?
Ma'am, I had a more general doubt about the future upcoming weeks.
Okay.
So I have finished week 4, except for the lab assignment.
Okay, you have finished all the questions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And week 3, we had Jinja 2. Week 4, if I'm not wrong, it introduces us to Flask.
Yes, yes.
Jinja 2 is something that integrates with Flask, right?
Yeah. We are using Jinja to syntax and templates also in the Flask in the further weeks. Yeah.
And week 4 utilizes SQL. So what is our end goal here? Like, what shape do the future weeks take?
Okay, so see, basically we are just in the week 1 to 4, we are just in the basic level. So we are just introducing you what is an application, how it works, what is a database, and how it works. So see, in later weeks or in week 5, we will let you know that how we integrate the database in the application itself. Okay, so you know about what is an application and how we can run that application, how the server works, and all kind of things. So in further weeks, as I talk about week 5, so in week 5 you basically learn how to integrate the database. So we are using, as you know, that we are using the Flask framework for developing the application. So if we talk about the end goal of this course, so yeah, at the end of this course, you will be dealing with a full-fledged application, and you have enough knowledge about how to deploy it, how to build a full-fledged application with all the functionalities, and how to deploy it. But in as we are in week 4, so yeah, in week 5 we just have just make you know that how to integrate the database in our Flask application. So in further weeks we talk about APIs, and after that we talk about security and validations, all kind of things. So yeah, after that we talk about some extent of JavaScript also. So such kind of thing will be coming in further weeks. So yeah,
Okay, ma'am, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, any more?
Yeah, so one question I have. So in the subsequent weeks or say project, are you going to use that SQL or no SQL or both?
No. So basically in this course, we are focusing on SQL. Okay, so we are going to use SQLite. We are not using NoSQL as far as this course is concerned. Okay, so we are just in this week, as far as week 4 is concerned, yeah, we are just talked about what is NoSQL, what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL, this kind of thing we talked about, just to get you familiar with the concept that what is SQL and why is NoSQL comes into place. But in this course, we are just using SQLite.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. I have a question about
Yeah.
the lab assignment. I'll ask that at the very end. Please just keep some 2 minutes for it. Actually,
Yeah. So all the queries regarding lab assignment which you all make, you can ask at the end of the session. Okay.
okay.
So yeah, please wait till the end of the session, and we can uh, assure you that we can also focus on that part.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So any more observations? Any more queries regarding the basic structure of the course and any kind of thing which is not related to just activity practice, but yeah, you can also share some observations and any kind of thing you can share. But yeah, I'm expecting any uh, as participants are 51 and just 2 or 3 students are responding, so I'm expecting all of you to respond and express your whatever you feel about the structure and course. Yeah. Anyone else? So the queries regarding lab assignments, yeah, we are taking that part in the last at the last of our session. So at this part, you are basically bound to ask that what the queries regarding the week 4 activity and practice. So yeah, you can now ask any queries. Will we learn JavaScript in this course? Yeah. So, see, as far as I told you previously that yeah, we are learning JavaScript, but not to a very high extent. Okay, we are just introducing the JavaScript concept to you. In the further weeks, or I can say in week 10, 11, I think, yeah, I'm not just yeah, in week 9, 10, or 11, I don't know exactly in which week. So we are just introducing you some of the concept of JavaScript, which is basically we are using for the validation part, for the validation of our application. So in order to the validation impose the validation of our application, we are using JavaScript to that extent only. So yeah, in this course we are learning JavaScript, but just the basic level. Okay.
Uh, Hello, ma'am. I just have one last question.
Yeah.
For our internships, we have been asked to make a digital portfolio of sort. So,
For your internship,
yeah, I mean, they're starting the process now, and
so at your college, internship at
no, no,
where?
IIT, IIT one, IIT one.
Okay. Yeah.
So like for the next term, previous term, next to next term, they've asked us to make a digital portfolio of sort who are about to finish the diplomas and the second year of sort. Like
In
in
which year you are? Diploma?
we are complete. I completed 4 courses in the diploma, and
Okay.
so now my question is, at what stage of the course will I be able to execute a digital portfolio of sort? Will I be able to do that, or should I go on the side and start doing it on my own right away?
So see, you will get a project. Okay, you will get a project on the basis of what you the course, whatever the content you have teached in the whole of the course, all of the things. But if I talk about the digital portfolio, right?
Yeah, like a website of sort for a candidate where he has uh, displayed all his work, written.
Yeah. So I suggest you that uh, you will you have to start that at your own, because
Okay.
see, in this week we gonna teach you that how a Flask application, and at the further weeks you will be familiar with such concepts, how to integrate the database, how to build the API, and how such kind of thing. So you can easily make that thing that is been asked in your portfolio. But as far as the project is concerned, project is not the similar thing that you are expecting. Okay, that is something different. So at that time there will be very much rush. So that's why I'm suggesting you in the starting of this course, because at the time in between, or after you go beyond week 7, 8 and 9, there must be a very much rush of that project. Okay, so your whole concentration will goes on to how to make that project, what will how will do this, how will do this. So I suggest you that whatever concept you are learning in the weeks, so uh, parallelly you can do whatever you are required in that portfolio. Okay,
Sure, ma'am. Sure. Thank you.
and any doubt regarding it, you can ask. Okay, any doubt regarding that portfolio what you are making, and so you can ask it here also, that I'm facing this issue, and what will that
Sure, ma'am.
uh, yeah. There is a question in the chat. Let me read it first. So yes, why do we use .csv extension for files? I mean, what purpose that does it serves? Uh, I cannot able to read the whole time. Let me read it from here. A minute. I mean, what purpose that does it serves? Practice assignment question 5 says we need not save a CSV file with a .csv extension. Okay. Okay. So practice question 5. Okay. Let me go to that question first. Oh, where that means practice assignment 5. Okay. Uh, okay. Which of the following statement is all correct about CSV file in Python? So CSV file stores tabular data in which each data field is generally separated by a delimiter. Okay, this is the okay. To save a CSV file, it must be saved with a .csv extension. Okay. Yeah. So see, what you're asking is why it is wrong, right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Why it's not an option?
Yes. Okay. So see, it is not a mandatory thing. Okay, are you getting it? In this option we are saying that to save a CSV file, it must be it must be saved with. So is it true? I'm asking to you only that it is true that to save a CSV file, it must be saved. We cannot save it with another extension. We cannot save it with .txt, .xlsv, any kind of extension we are not using. Just we are using the if you use that .csv extension, that thing is mandatory thing, or it's just I'm just asking to you what your opinion on this.
Yeah, the file itself is basically text and it's separated by comma. So
Yeah.
even if it says saved as .txt, then yeah, it can be.
Yeah. So it will work. Okay, it will work. So in this option, that is the thing. Okay, in this option we are saying that it must be saved with a .csv extension. It is true, but 50 for 50. Okay, if we in this option we if we are saying that to save a CSV file, it is saved with the .csv extension, that then that option will be correct. Okay, so this is on a fact that okay, to save a CSV file, it is also option that okay, we can save that file with this extension, but it is not a must, it is not a mandatory. We can also save that file in that text format with that dot txt extension, and we can also save that file with dot xls extension. So that's why this is wrong. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Suyesh, Sonali, can I add some more points?
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, CSV file is comma separated values. So whatever data we are giving in the data set can be represented in the Excel format, or it can be represented using CSV file, or it can be represented using text format. So why we are going to represent this CSV? So Sonal, can you please mute your audio? Thank you. Okay, so if we use the CSV file, so if it is an Excel file, for example, if you use Microsoft Excel, it is a proprietary software, and some of the operating system which are whatever we are using to give the data set for that particular operating system will not be supported because it is only for Microsoft. Right, so Microsoft Office, the Excel data sheet is created. So only if you are working in Windows operating system, you can get the data from that Excel sheet. So it is also a data set collection format. Similarly, CSV file is also a data set collection format. So if you are using a CSV file, it is through wherever whatever programs you are using in whichever operating system, automatically it will support the CSV file, and you can represent the tabular format in a comma separated values. Right, so no need to represent the entire content as using tab space or using any other separation symbols and all. We can use just only the comma as the delimiter, and we can give the data set using the CSV. Right, so that is the main usage of the CSV file, to extract the data set for your program to execute if the data set is medium size or large size or small size, whatever it may be. So it can be from a text file also, you can create a CSV file by giving the values in the format of comma separated values.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
Yes, Sonal, you can continue.
Yeah, hello. Sorry for the background noise. So, okay. You can post your queries on the chat also, as well as you can also unmute yourself. So, any more queries on activity questions, practice questions? Any question, query related lab assignment? We can address it in last of our session. So, yeah, you can ask if you have any queries regarding activity or practice, or if you not have any, then we can have some discussion upon some topics that we had decided to. So yeah, please ask. Sorry for the background noise. Okay. I have query regarding the live assignment for week 3. Yeah, Snehil. So yeah, you can keep your query regarding that live assignment which you are asking for. It we can surely address that query in the last of the session. Okay. So okay. Yeah. Okay, so can we discuss some concepts regarding some basic concepts regarding this week? If no one has any queries regarding this week, okay. So I just wait for 1 minute, and any query regarding activity practice, whichever question you are not getting, and any kind of thing, you can ask. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think there is no queries. So let's discuss on some of the basic concept that we thought for that will help you in solving question of these weeks. If someone is just watch the videos and not attempted the questions, and just not familiar with the concept of database much, so this concept will help them to yeah, to solve the activity and practice question. And the peoples who already familiar with this concept, they are mostly welcome to share their whatever, share their suggestions and share their answers to us in order to have a fair discussion, okay, on this concept. So today we are not going to that mentee thing, so we are not going to discuss on that mentee thing. So today we are just going to post my I'm just going to post my question on that whatever say we what was that whiteboard. Okay, so I'm just posting my questions on the whiteboard and just expecting you to unmute yourself and answer, as well as you can also post on the chat. Okay, so please, it's my request to please give your opinions about it. It will be good that if you unmute yourself and give that answer in place if you are typing in the chat, because in that we can discuss easily. In a small amount of time we can discuss more. Okay, so yeah, I'm presenting my whiteboard. Anyone wants to say something about? Okay, so yeah, okay. My screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So okay. So let me the text and type my first question. I just want to post very basic question. Okay, very basic, that the who will be familiar with the concept of data and databases will be able to answer, but the people who are new to this course and new to databases, so if we discuss these things in the session, so that will be very beneficial for them. Okay, so my first question is, uh, what is a what do you mean by, okay, by data? So let me enlarge this. Yeah, so can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is very basic question, as this whole week is just all about databases and databases. So what do you mean by data? And after that, going into the data, what do you mean by database? So this is the question. This is my first question, and I'm just expecting you all to please unmute yourself. Any kind of suggestion, any kind of thing. If you know one line of this question, that will be also be fine. So I'm not just expecting that you have very detailed knowledge about this question. Okay, just a formal thing, just a one line of explanation or one line of thing will also. So this is the question. You can also post in the chat, but how can I see the chat? So you all noted this question, right? What do you mean by data and databases?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So, Devi ma'am, if someone is posting in the chat, can you read it for me?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm unable to read the chat.
One.
Yeah. Okay.
I think no one has posted.
Please, can you unmute? You all please unmute yourself and just whatever you think about data and databases, you can post
Yes,
it on chat. Okay.
so ma'am, can I answer?
Yeah.
So
Please.
ma'am, according to me, data is right now very generic word. Anything can be considered data.
Yeah.
Even this video right now is a data for someone. But in a broad sense, in context with database, data is something that can be stored first of all, and it can be tabulated if possible, uh, and it can be used for future uses,
Mhm.
especially for data analysis, data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these other things. So right now, people are storing data so that they can forecast certain things in the future, and they can find some patterns using historical analysis. When it comes to database is simply a system where or data can be stored in a very organized manner, in a very clean manner, so that it can be accessed, it can be structured, and it also makes sure that the concurrency is. So there are three things. There is something called as concurrency, atomicity,
Mhm.
durability, and isolation. So these four things are essentially very important for a database. So all these four things are maintained in the database. It makes sure that all the data are isolated from one another. In case there is a crash of sort, data is always uh, there's always a backup. So durability is also ensured, and then there is consistency between databases. So in a transaction, it makes sure that the transaction fails, the consistency of the database is maintained, and of course there's also atomicity as well. So all these four things are maintained in a database.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think this is all about data and databases. So for this point of time, the thing you have said, it is enough that you all must know about data and database. So any more opinions about data and databases? Anyone else?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I would like to put input.
Yeah.
I believe data is essentially information,
Hmm.
and it can be any information because data, it's such a generalized term.
Hmm.
And when it comes to database, it's tabulated data, which is very structured and which has interrelationships, and we can use it to, like get relevant information that we want by running queries, and the remaining are like properties of the database, like atomicity and whatever the person before me said.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, this is all about data and databases. So see, basically, if we talk about data, okay, so this data is anything. Okay, this is not just confined to what we send a file, image, document. This is nothing like that. Anything can be called up as data. Okay, so this data in if you talk about this just generalized world, so data is very giant, and it could be random. Okay, it could be random. Okay, we can group a data with another kind of data. We are not matching the data types. So, if we are telling that this person is a female, so we can also match with an animal. Okay, both are data, but these are kind of random data. We are not grouping anything. We are not giving them any kind of structure. It's just a data. But if we uh, if we go into some details and get some clarification about databases. So what is a database? Database is nothing but a systematic collection of that particular data. Okay, if you are structuring that data in a kind of structure, and it makes that data management easy, that it is also called a database. So after database, it comes the dbms. Okay, so what is a dbms? Dbms is nothing but the database management system, and it is nothing but the collection of programs which enables us or the user or the client to use and access that database. Okay, to use, manipulate, analyze, or do computation on that data through that database. Okay, so it also, the I'm talking about DBMS, database management system. It also helps to control access and which kind of access. See, let's say we have a data. Okay, we have any kind of data, organized data in a database, such as in if we talk about Facebook. Okay, Facebook has a very large amount of data, so it has very large amount of user. Okay, so it need a place, it need a what kind of say, it need a collect program to manipulate and present data, correct data to the correct user. Okay, so it has many large amount of data, and it is not necessary that it is always manageable. So it is the purpose, it is the role of the database management system or the database to store, manipulate, and present the correct data to the correct member. Okay, so let's say if you are not structuring the data and we are not manipulating and analyzing the data, so what happens? We have a we have a giant amount of data in one place, and any person can come and can take any person's data. So this is not a good thing. Okay, so yeah, this is very particular about that. It can also control access to the various user that is using that database. Okay, we can also control access. So yeah, or we can also use database handlers. Okay, what are database handlers? These are basically uh, used to create a database. That also, it is used to create a database that uses a set of programs, or we can call it set of software that provide this access control to the data to all the user that is using. So this the main purpose of database handlers is to provide the access to the data to the user using it. Okay, so see, we have gone through many website, static website, dynamic website. So there are many website, dynamic website on the web. Okay, so that data on the dynamic website is handled through the database. For example, let's say we have a website which tells us about how many hotels are present in the city. Okay, so all the data related to all the hotels are just stored in particular place in order to give certain inputs or certain information to the user using it. Okay, so these days database, the main purpose of this kind of database is to operate a large amount of information by just storing it and managing it. Okay, so see, we have many kind of database management system, like we have relational database, we have OOPS database, we have SQL DBMS, we have non relational database. So we are basically in this course, we are basically concentrating on relational database. Okay, so if we talk about relational data, if we will talk about relational database in the further question. So up to here we talked about data. What is data? Anything can be considered as data, and database is nothing but the collection of that data in a systematic approach or an organized manner, such that to manage that data, to retrieve that data easily. Okay, so yeah, we talked about what is data, we talked about what is database, we talked about how many kind of database. So we talked about this kind of thing. Yeah, so for example, we have Oracle, we have MySQL. These are all nothing but the database examples. So yeah, so this is all about data and database. So anything, anyone more wants to add upon this? We are not going into very much details because this concept is very giant. Okay, this concept is very detailed. So the person who is beginner and just know nothing about databases, so this is the concept, very basic concept for them. Okay, we are not going to the acid properties, we are not going very detailed into that properties, because that is something which is very particular to database, but we are not discussing in this point of time, because it's just my just one one goal of mine is just that uh, get those student familiar with the concept, that who are not familiar with this concepts. Okay, this basic concept. After in the further questions, in further sessions, we go in deep in this concept. So as in week 4 we are just talking about databases. So this is our first question. So can anyone else who wants to add upon this? Hello, am I audible, Devi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, can I add upon some points? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So already in previous week 3, you have already studied about MVC model, right? Model as MVC model, view and controller, right? So this database is also coming under this MVC model. So for example, if you consider the model, according to the examples already given by Sonal ma'am, so whatever the model we are representing, for example, if you are constructing a student grade book, the models are represented as so we can represent student table, we can represent course table, as well as we can represent the mark table, right? So that and all represented as model of that particular student grade. Similarly, if you are represent, so this is model, that is what we you have already studied in week 3, and V is represented views, right? So for example, if you want to view a particular student, how many courses the particular student. Sonal, can you please mute your mic? Sonal,
Hello?
can you please mute your mic?
Oh, okay. So for that, I have to stop sharing it first.
No, just mute your mic.
Yeah. So I cannot able to see that screen, ma'am.
Okay,
So
okay.
for that, I have to stop.
Just for background sound.
Yeah. I can able to
Okay,
understand.
so that is what view we are representing. For example, if you want to view a particular student who is X, right? So what are the courses that particular student is studying and how much marks he has secured? So already we have defined 3 models. One is student model, and another one is course, and another one is marks of type, right? So there is a relationship between these 3 models: students, course, as well as the marks. So now in the viewpoint, for example, if you are taking a student X, how much mark he has obtained in this, whatever the courses he has, what are the courses he is studying, and how much marks he has obtained in all the courses can be viewed. So that is the viewpoint we are bringing into the database, right? So how you are going to view that particular models, what you have created for the student grade. And once you have viewed that content, so how we are going to control it? For example, if you are going to do any updation, or if you are going to do any modification, or if you are going to do any deletion, anything, modification itself, it will come under whatever the modification, any updation or deletion or insertion, whatever it means. So that and all coming under your control. right? So this is how that MVC representation we are representing in the database, right? So, so using an example, you can understand the entire conceptual representation. So if so, whatever I have told, automatically you can imagine models as different tables. And there is a relationship between all these tables. Using that relationship, we are viewing the content of all the students in the grade. Similarly, what the controller part it is going to do, any modification we are doing in the tables, that is the part taken. So that is what she has specified. Database is consisting of different models stored as a different tables. And what is database management system? How we are going to manage, control the entire database as well as the tables that are coming into the database, how we are going to manage it, right? So that is the controller part that comes into picture. So any modification that you're doing, that will be taken place here, insertion or deletion or updation, whatever. I think I have added some more points over what is database as well as database management system. Right? Yes, Sonal, you can take it.
Yeah, okay, Devi, thank you. So, yeah, I think this point is clear that what is data and what is database. As very good example given by Devi ma'am, that how we relate that database to that model, MVC model that we had studied in week 3. So, any queries regarding this concept? Anyone? If not, then we can go to the next question. Okay, so can I go? Can I go to the next question then?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so
The controller part, right?
controller. Hello. What you are talking about? Controller.
Yes, ma'am. In the MSc model, so can I call DBMS controller, where we used to edit, delete data?
No,
it
no.
consists of entire MVC model, because we can also view whatever the content you want to specify. For example, you are one of the student of this particular course, right? So if I want to view all the marks secured by different courses you have registered under IITM, automatically view is also coming part in the database management system. Similarly, we are creating so many different types of tables. For example, student table will be separate, and then number of courses available will be separate. One student can have more relationship between more number of courses. For example, one student can register more one course or more than one courses. Similarly, that course table will have some relationship with the marks table, right? So, it is a structured arrangement, so that only we are representing as a structured query language that we will deal in the next forthcoming questions, right? So, it is not exactly controller. All the MVC view, its model view as well as the controller, entire thing comes in the database management system.
This is an example. It is also a model, controller as well as view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, madam. Is the model is also the view?
Okay, let me share my screen so that I can explain it a little bit, elaborate over this content.
Can I mute like?
Yeah, no need to mute. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Now, yeah.
Okay. So what I have specified here is already you have studied this MVC model. So this model consists of how you are going to represent some data. So here for this example, I have taken 3 tables as models, right? So student table, and then one more is course table, and one more model is represented as marks, right? So there is some other relationship. So here for student, we will have so many number of attributes like student ID, and then name of the student, as well as, so these are represented as attributes. And then similarly for course also, we will have student ID who is registered for that corresponding course ID, student ID, course ID, as well as and what is the name of the course. So these are the attributes of this course. Similarly for marks also, we will have a course student ID, course ID, and then the marks obtained for that corresponding course. So that will be, so these are the attributes for this marks, right? So now we have created a model that is having different attributes value as a separate model that is representing. So student is a separate entity, course is a separate entity, and but there is a relationship between these 3 models, right? So because, for example, if you want to add a student, add, or if you want to modify, so modify comes under, so if you want to insert, or if you want to delete, all are coming under, so these operations are coming under the controller part, right? So any modification you want to do under this model will come under this controller part. So what this view is taking place, what view is going to do, for example, if I want to see, for example, consider there is a student ID of 104. So same student ID will be, because ID is 1-to-1 mapping, the relationship is 1-to-1 relationship. For example, one student will have only one ID. It is unique for that corresponding student. So it is a 1-to-1 relationship, this attribute, right? So that is what, so 104. So if it, 104 and the course ID, for example, let me take it as a C101, and then the marks secured is 75, right? So, but here it is having only the student ID, course ID, as well as the marks secured. But you doesn't know what is the name of the student, and what is the any other attribute levels that is you cannot able to see. But if you want to see what are the students who have obtained greater than 80% in a particular course ID, where course ID is equal to C101. So for example, I'm writing, right? So if it is like C10, right? So if you want to view this type of queries, so this is an example I'm writing here. If you want to view students like this, automatically that will comes under the view part of how you are representing, right? Otherwise, if you want to see some of the students who are great, who are less than some marks, like whatever criteria, whatever so this is the user interface. So how you are, what is the perception of visualizing the output, how you want to get the output, that will be decided by this view part.
SQL query is a view then.
Yeah, yeah. It is representing the views, but it can also, so SQL queries, if you take, it will also consisting of DCL, DML, right? So data control language, data manipulation language, and data definition language, right? So all are coming under this. So in SQL query also you can do all the modification. So now my point is, just you have studied MVC, right? So just you can relate this MVC to the database management system. That's it. Not exactly specifying that whether it is only a controller or only a view or only a model, right? So all these things are consisting of a database management system. Yes. So one of this structured query language, whatever the things, for example, if you consider an example, if you're going to buy a item in an Amazon, right? So you're going to buy an item in Amazon. So viewing different, also the Amazon web page is dynamic. It will show which is recent trend in your first page itself. But whatever the transactions you are doing under Amazon will be in a structured query format. That means that is what already in starting itself you have specified, right? Asset property. This has to be followed such that there should not be any for example, if you are if it is debited only 1,000 rupees, only 1,000 rupees should be debited from your account. It should not be debited more than that. Similarly, once it has been debited, you should either you have to complete the transaction fully, otherwise you have to roll back to the initial state. So that is known as atomicity. So that is atomicity, right? So consistency is what I have specified. Whatever the amount you are debiting, that same amount has to be represented. And isolation, so many number of customers are buying the content from the Amazon websites. Each and every transaction should be independently represented. So that is known as isolation. And durability, so this is very much important. So durability is also specifying that the persistence of data, so it whatever the changes that is made to your database of your transaction bank account should be durable, right? So that is how we are representing. So database is wherever you are using any type of application, either it is a web application or it is a mobile application or it is any other, every application will have the database. So the only thing, database management system. So the only thing is whether it is tightly coupled with this asset property or loosely coupled. So that is what I have said earlier, displaying the item content, what is the rate of the item, what is the color of it, what is the size of it, that and all, no need to tightly coupled with your structured database content. But whatever you're doing with the bank transaction should be it should be restricted, and it is should be coming under normalized form. So that only we are representing as a structured query language, right? Either it has to do the entire thing or it has to roll back, that is atomicity. And consistency, whatever the data you are debiting or crediting, same amount has to be reflected in your database. And similarly, isolation, multiple execution of instances, that is independent instances, right? For example, more customers will do more transactions, and all the transactions should be handled independently, and then the durability persistent, right? So this is how we are representing that either if it is a, there is also NoSQL, which is unstructured, and SQL, which is structured. So that and all we will see in the forthcoming questions, right? So now I think now it is clear for you. Just to give an example, I have represented as what you have studied earlier, all are having effect for the forthcoming classes. That is to insist that I have taken this MVC, not to confuse about the current database management system, right? So just to relate whatever you have studied earlier, that is related to the current portion for the database management system. That's it.
Yes, madam. This we could understand. There was a question in graded assignment 3. Okay. The first question, where there was a tabulation
Graded
given,
assignment for which week?
week 3.
Okay.
There was a tabulation given, the course name and the students who have registered, and a pie chart and a bar chart. And it said model, the correct, one of the correct options is model is an object which represent data in the table.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't, I mean, it's usually the model for a structured database is always tabulation. That what
Okay.
it means, right?
Okay. Sonal, can you please answer this question? Like if you have got.
Yeah. I'm just going to that question.
Okay. Okay. Just give me 1 minute so that I will go through that question.
Okay. Yes. So what is your doubt regarding this question?
I'm asking, like, for a structured database, we are talking about it now,
Yeah.
And a model is always a table. Can
Yes.
am I right? That's my question. Yeah.
See, a model, a table is represented as model. So in the upcoming weeks, if you talk about if we are talking in week 5, if you talk about the Flask SQL alchemy, which we are just using in order to integrate the SQLite database with our Flask application in the just the week after that, week 5. So in that you will see that in Flask SQL alchemy we create models. Okay, so when we create models, it's just that we are creating tables. Okay, so like that, so if you're talking about models, it's just that it's similar to tables. So in question number 1 you're asking, right?
Yeah, question 1.
So consider the image given below and identify the correct statement. So we have a table, right? We have a table, we have a pie chart, we have a bar graph. So model is an object which represent data in the table. Okay. So what is your doubt? Specific doubt?
Yeah, my query is like, if for structured database, the model will be always a table.
Yes. Model is, see, just like that we called a relation as a table. In a relational database, if we talk about relation, so it always refer to as a table. If we talk about a row, so we call it as record. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we talk about model, so basically it's nothing but the database. And if we are talking about database, that it should be a structured database. As we are talking about structured database, here we are talking about relational database. We are not talking about NoSQL. So NoSQL is basically the unstructured data. So we are not going into that. So here we are talking about structured database, and model is just nothing but the database.
Yeah, and it comes in the form of table. Okay. The
Yeah.
table could also be a view. When we run a query, we get a view of that table, right?
Yeah. So see, in this question itself, if we are able to see that chart A and chart B, so this both chart is nothing but the representation of any kind of data, right?
Yeah.
So any kind of data, so it is nothing but the representation of model that we can able to see. Okay, we can able to see it on screen. It is just that we can so this is nothing but the view.
Yeah, I get it. The table can also be a view, like when we, that what we get normally, right? In SQL, when you run a query, you get a
get
Okay.
an output table. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a form of a view, right? Along with the
Yes.
charts.
Yes. So the queries we write, that is something like a controller.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I get that. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am, I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, so if I am writing a select query,
Yes.
that will also be a controller.
Yes. So a select query. Yeah, we are writing a kind of query, right?
Yes, I'm
So
not saying about the insert, update, and delete.
yes.
If I am writing a select query, it will be a controller or
Any
it will be a view.
See, any query which you are writing, that is not a view. Okay, it is somewhere represented as a controller because it has to be executed, right? After you write a select star from something table name, any table name, it has to be executed, and then after the table will come in front of you, right? So
Okay.
yeah, it is not, it is represented as a controller only because after execution of that select query, we get the table output table that we can see on our screen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, any instruction, any command that we are giving to our application, any command that we are giving to our software, it just a kind of instruction, and instruction is nothing but the controller. And after the that instruction had been somewhere analyzed and computed in the backend, we get the view in response.
Sonal, can I add some more point here?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So what question he is asking, I think controller will modify the model itself. For example, as I have said earlier, if you want to insert or if you want to update or if you want to delete, that queries will not comes under this controller. So whichever things that is affecting the models, that will comes under controller, and what you have said specified as select will comes under view. So that will not affect the table. You will just see the interface as a whatever the things you want, you will represent as an interface.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. So this select query is also coming under the view.
Yeah.
Because it is not yeah, I am able to understand it. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, Saurav, can you whether you got that question, answer clearly?
Yes. Hello, Devi ma'am, are you speaking?
Yeah. Can you able to hear me, Sona?
Yes, ma'am, I am able to hear you, but
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, Joyce.
Yeah. No, we can hear you clearly, both of you.
Okay.
yes. So yeah, we had done with the question number 1. So now let me. Can I write it in chat or the same?
Yeah, you can write it in the chat box so that if there is any answer, I will let you know.
No, ma'am, I'm asking that whether I write it on chat or in the whiteboard.
Okay.
Yes. So I think whiteboard will be easy because everyone can see it clearly. Okay. Let me share that whiteboard first. Yeah. So this is our first question. Yeah. So this is what is a spreadsheet. Yeah. So are you all able to see this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is the second question. So in the lecture 1 or 4.1, 4.1, 4.2, basically we are talking about these spreadsheets. So yeah, this is the very basic concept that we can discuss upon. So yeah, I'm expecting some of the responses from you all this time. You can also post your response on chat, so Devi ma'am can read it out from me.
It is an intersection of rows and columns.
Yes, yes. So yeah, basically this is correct. Anyone else?
Uh, Spreadsheet is essentially a place where we can store data in a tabulated manner. We have a collection of rows and columns, which then form a cell basically. And essentially, you can do a lot of operations on spreadsheet, especially Microsoft Excel.
Yes, yes.
So that is, I think, I hope I gave a definition of it.
Yeah, yeah. This is the basic concept that is very uh, necessary for all of you to learn it. So anyone else? Yeah. So see, basically, well, if I talk about spreadsheets, so within our computer, I'm talking about our system or own system. So this software program or any kind of application program that is is bound to provide a way to manage or analyze or compute any kind of data in a tabular form in order to perform some kind of computation on the particular data. So this pattern is known as a spreadsheet. So spreadsheet is nothing but a software program. We can find it on our system. So it is basically a tabular form, means it is in the form of tables in which it is a form of rows and columns. So basically data in spreadsheet is arranged in cells, right? What is a cell? Cell is nothing but the intersection of rows and columns. It is the intersection of rows and columns. Okay. So basically spreadsheets are also called structured data. Why structured data? Because the data in the spreadsheet are organized. Okay. It is just not a randomized data. It is we can if you look at any particular spreadsheet, we can see that it is kind of structure. If you give a heading, all the heading will come. We can store all the heading in below it, and we if you are giving a column as name, we can store our data in an organized format such that it looks good. Okay. So spreadsheet comes with a large number of tools in order to what perform computation, right? So see, if we talk about spreadsheet program, so we are talked about spreadsheet. What is a spreadsheet? Is just nothing but a tabular format. It's just a form in a row, in a form of row and column. And what is a cell? Cell is a intersection of a row and column. So if we talk about certain spreadsheet programs, so it is nothing but a kind of document where data is organized such that we can perform calculations, as I stated earlier. So see, we have many spreadsheet programs such as Excel. We can also make a spreadsheet on Google Sheets, LibreOffice. These are the common spreadsheet programs that we use in our daily life in order to store data and perform computations on it. So see, some of the main features that if we talk about a spreadsheet, that some of the common feature and the main feature of a spreadsheet is nothing but, see, one or two thing are important if we are talking about spreadsheet. First one is the uh, ready-made templates. See, in many of these spreadsheet programs, you have been provided with the ready-made templates. So as in common, whenever you create a new file in any spreadsheet program, you will get to create a blank spreadsheet in the way. Okay. But many spreadsheet programs have some ready-made templates for you and for further use. let's say you are so they will provide your dummy data, they will provide you a dummy template in order to uh, save your time or make your things easier. This is the first features of a spreadsheet program, good spreadsheet program. Okay, so second is what is we called WYSYWYG. The full form is what you see is what you get. Okay, so see, if you make a sheet of some data on your spreadsheet program, so whatever is there on the screen, whatever you made, whatever you do on the screen, and let's say you create a sheet or a sheet, so the same sheet will be get available if you take a printout of the same of the data. It will not be affected. So this is the feature that's why we're calling it as what you see is what you get, or whatever the data sheet made on the system. Let's say you're transferring the same data to the another system, the data will not get affected. The same data will be transferred to the another system also. This is the second feature. Third is the GUI. See, on the spreadsheet programs, we can see various tools, various options. Like we can easily cut and copy and paste. We can see the data on the screen. We can see the buttons on the screen. There are many tools that help you in perform the computation. This kind of thing. Various formatting options are there. We can style. We can format a particular cell, its size. We can change its color, way of writing, its font. This kind of thing we can easily uh, do with the help of a spreadsheet. So basically, this kind of thing are very easier with if we are talking about a spreadsheet. So we are talked about rows, column. We have talked about cells. So what is a range? See, typically a range is nothing but a group of block or cells. Cell is an intersection of rows and columns, and range is a group of some block of cells. Okay, that is, we can select it and we can perform certain computations on it. We can perform certain formulas on particular range. Okay, so each cell may contain either numeric or text data, any kind of data, arbitrary data we can put in the text, right? Sorry, in the cell. So these are the thing that is very basic. This is the basic concept related to the spreadsheet. So yeah, any doubt regarding spreadsheet? Any points to add? Any specific doubt regarding spreadsheet or anything? See, this is very basic definition of a spreadsheet. We are not going into very much details as we are just hello. Yeah, so you can unmute yourself and can ask any doubt if you had any doubt regarding this. I think this is pretty much clear that this is not very much difficult concept. So I think this must be.
Well, there is one question in chat, not regarding spreadsheet. It's regarding how to calculate the attendance. Sorry, how will attendance will be taken?
Okay, so how your attendance of what live session?
Yeah, live session attendance.
Okay, so see, live session attendance. You all have been share a announcement for this announcement for diploma students, right? Had you got that sheet? The person you are asking, had you got that?
Let me share the link for that announcement within 1 minute. Okay, I will share it in chat box. Announcement link.
Yeah. So in that sheet itself, that Google Docs, you can easily read out all the important points about how your live session attendance will be counted. Uh, okay. Ma'am, are you sharing the sheet?
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Because I'm unable to find the sheet.
Yeah, I am sharing. 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
I think this is an operational doubt, but I'm still going to ask. I just ask if I don't know if you have the answer, but right now here we have in the bonus marks something called as 2/3 of the practice assignment. You get a bonus mark of 5 marks. So these practice assignments, they don't really have a deadline per se. We can submit it even after the week is over. So
So 5, what you are telling, that 5 marks for? 5 bonus marks.
Yeah, we've been told that 2/3 of the practice assignments plus mock test, if we attempt and the average is above 40%, then the marks that we'll get is 5.
So see, these are the lab assignments.
Okay.
Okay, this in this we are talking about the lab assignments and not the activity practice. Okay.
No, so in the document for grading, they had mentioned that for all subjects, if you submit 2/3 of the practice assignments, they'll be counted, but they haven't specified the deadline in which they need to be submitted. So our question is, do they need to be submitted at a particular time, or can they be submitted anytime, but we just need to get 2/3?
So see, if that doc which you are referring, if it is talking about activity questions or practice questions, I don't think that activity or practice question is just any kind of grading in that thing. I think that is talking about the lab assignment you are getting each week. Okay, so
No, it's just saying practice assignments. The lab assignments are anyway graded, but we're talking about for the bonus marks, the 5 extra marks that we get. For that, it had said that if you do the practice questions, the ones that are not graded, then you will get up to 5 bonus marks if you complete 2/3. I'd written to the support team as well, but I didn't get an answer.
Okay. So let me confirm this, and then we'll get back to you in this session only. I'll get back to you after confirming the same thing that you are all asking. Okay.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So, where is my screen goes? Yeah. So we are done with the second question. I think there is no queries regarding it. So let me type the third question, and then I'm expecting you to respond. Okay. So my first question is list the type of relation database. Yeah, so this is the third question. List the type of diagrammatic representation of relation in database. So this is our question. So anyone wants to unmute themselves and answer? Are you getting the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
This is the ER one, right? entity relationship type of word.
Yeah, this kind of relation that has been used in the
One
data.
is entity relation, another one is class relation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then
Entity relationship is correct. Class relation is also correct.
there
So,
was
ma'am,
one more type that was mentioned, UML.
Yeah.
UML notation.
UML representation is also correct. So UML is nothing but unified modeling language, right?
yes, ma'am, are you going to share your screen? So I can.
I will share my screen so that I will explain this topic. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here we are going to represent what are the diagrammatic representation. So different types of diagrammatic representations are there. So first we will see unified modeling language, that is UML. Then we will move on to entity relationship diagram, which is our concept of representing week 4 content. So that we will see. So next we will see that class diagram. So class diagram is also one of the subset of unified modeling language. So we will see all those things. So first we are going to represent this unified modeling language. So this unified modeling language, UML, so this is a visual representation of a software system itself. So normally we will represent this unified modeling language as a universal set. So using this, we can represent the entire software system itself, not the software program, the software system itself, right? So that is represented as unified modeling language. So it is a visual representation of software system. Right. So now, so just we will make a comparison between UML. So as I have said earlier, UML is a superset of diagram, that is entity relationship diagram. So most importantly, the topic that goes around this diagram in our week 4 content. So we have to concentrate more on this diagram. So since there is more number of diagrammatic representation, just we will know what are the different types of diagrammatic representation. Right. So this, if you take UML, it is visual representation of entire software system. And if it is a diagram, it is a subset of this UML. And here in this diagram, it consists of 3 things. One is entity. And another one is relationship. And then the third one is attributes. So we have different shapes to represent this elements of this diagram, right? So entity is represented using rectangle, and then the relationship is represented using diamond shape, and the attributes are represented using oval, right? So this is how entity relationship diagram is represented. So we are using 3 shapes to represent, and the elements in diagram are entity, relationship, and then the attributes. So now, so for example, if you want to take some examples of entity, a student is an entity. So as I have specified earlier, student can be taken as, so what we are representing entities and their relationship with each other is represented as ER diagram. So it is also a pictorial representation of real world entities, right? So whatever objects or whatever items that are represented, that can be represented as an entity. So if you are representing student as an entity, it has to be represented in rectangle box, right? So this entity can have different attributes, as I have mentioned earlier. So we can have student ID. So attributes has to be represented using oval symbol. So I am representing here as SID. And then we can have a student name. And then if you want to represent courses for the student, you can represent it as multi-valued attributes, right? Because one student can be registered with more number of courses. Otherwise, you can represent at least one or more number of courses. So multi-valued attributes are represented using double oval. Right. So for example, here I am representing. So all this, whatever I am giving is an example, right? So these are the three attributes for the entity student, right? So now we will represent how this entity, and then we can have one more entity as course. Right. And then the attributes for this course is represented as course ID. And then one more representation as course name, CN. Right? Okay. So another entity we can have as based on our previous example, we can, let's take as marks. Here we have three attributes. One is student ID. And another one is course ID. And then the third one is marks. Okay. So now we have to see the relationship between these three entities, that is student, course, and then the marks. So for that, let me draw the diagram. So student, enrolled in the entity course, right? So this comes the diamond shape. So that is what we have to use for this entity relationship diagram representation. So one student or many students can enroll in a single course, or one student can enroll in many courses, right? So it can be of one to many or many to one, right? So that can be represented here. So that representation, one-to-one relationship, that and all, we will have different arrows to represent. For example, if you want to represent one-to-one, it has to be represented like this. And if it is one-to-many, that has to be represented like this, right? So that and many-to-many, here also it should be like this. Right. So we will have different representation for links, but for understanding here, I have used only a single arrowhead. So to represent how the relation will be represented for the entity. So student is an entity, course is also an entity. So student enrolled in course. And then now from course, what we are going to represent, so just I will delete some content. Okay, now from course. Of time. That is for the marks. And then you can also represent. So whatever the course representation, everything has to go through this. For a single student, whatever the marks he has to score, that can be also represented as a relationship. Score. Right. So this is how, just an example. So this is how we are going to represent a pictorial representation of entity relationship diagram. Right. So as I have said earlier, UML is a superset of ER diagram. That means UML consisting of, there are different types of unified modeling language, but entity relationship language can be used in any scale. So the meaning is, it can be of a small scale representation of a database, or it can be a large scale or medium scale, whatever. But UML will be used because UML is designed for the entire software system itself. So it is used for large scale only. Right. So this is how we are differentiating. So the majorly we are differentiating between the UML as well as this ER. And then now if you take that UML diagrams, so we are having different types of UML diagrams. Some of the UML diagrams are represented as use case diagrams. And then, so this is one, and I represent here two. And then activity diagrams. Yeah. So like that it goes off, right? So normally this UML represents the flow of control of data over the entire system, right? So flow of control will be represented in this UML, but this ER diagram represent only the relationship between the entities, right? So relationship between the entities will be done only done here. But the flow of control of data for the entire system will be represented in this UML diagram using different types of diagrams. Right? Use case diagram, activity diagram, class diagram. So many number of representation of diagrams are available in UML. And here, so one more concept we are going to see here. Make it somewhat larger. Just a moment. Okay, so here in this UML diagram, so the modeling in this UML diagram is dynamic modeling. So just I will write UML here and ER. So just I have specified earlier, it is large scale and it is dynamic. Here it is for any type, any scale, and here it is static. So what is dynamic representation is? So dynamic modeling, what activity is going to do and what time it is going to happen, everything will be represented here, right? So that is represented as dynamic modeling. So for example, for this much time of particular time, for example, 3 minutes, this particular activity is going to help, and next for the next 4 minutes, another process or another activity is going to take place, right? So it will change dynamically, right? So that is represented as dynamic. But here it is static. That means no state information. That is, no timeline information is available in ER diagram, right? So, and one more point already we have discussed here, it is flow based, and it is relation based, right? And so 3 points we have discussed so far. So here it is dynamic, and here it is static. And from this point itself, you can represent it as time-based state, and it is no state. And next point. So that's all about the major difference between UML, and here it is superset. And this is, so that you can represent UML diagram like this and ER diagram. So this is ER and this is UML. Right, superset, and this is the subset of UML. Right. So now comes to class diagram. So this is how we are representing, and we have seen a basic representation of ER diagram also. So there are 3 elements of ER diagram: entity, relationship, and attributes. So entity is represented using rectangle, relationship is using diamond, and attributes using single oval. It is represented as single value attribute. If it is double oval, it is multi-valued attribute, right? And we have seen some of the difference. So now we are going to see class diagram. So class diagram is also one of the part of UML diagram, which is the building block of object-oriented modeling, right? So class diagrams are represented as building blocks of object-oriented modeling. So it is also a static structure diagram that describes the structure of a system by showing the system classes and their attributes, operations, and their relationship among objects, right? So here we are representing this as entities, but in class we will represent yes. So here we are representing the rectangle boxes as entities, but in class, these will be represented as classes, and there will be relationship and what are the operations you are going to perform between the objects that are also represented there, right? So only the thing is the elements are represented in a different format, right? So that is known as class diagram, which is also a subset of UML. Okay. So that's this is how we are representing this ER diagram as well as the UML, and how it is represented using the attributes and all we have described here. Right. So some more points to be added. Just give me 1 minute. So as I have said earlier, there are 2 types of major categories of UML diagram. One is structured diagrams. So where the class diagram, what we have seen now, class diagram, object diagram, component diagram, and deployment diagram. I am not writing anything. So just listen. So this is a, just to tell what is there under UML. What are the different types of diagrams or types of diagrams are available under UML. So there are 2 major categories. One is structural diagram and another one is represented as behavioral diagram. So under structural diagrams of UML, there is class diagram, object diagram, component diagram, and a deployment diagram, where we have seen what is class diagram now. Similarly, in behavioral diagrams, we have use case diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, state chart diagram, and activity diagram. So some of the example already we have seen in UML. So that also represented here. So the main focus for us to represent in week 4 content comes under ER diagram, right? So that we have represented with an example. I think that is clear about this third question. What are the different types of diagrammatic representation of relationship between objects or entities? Right. So, ma'am, can you please take over? Hello? Hello? Can you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. I thought somewhere I have left the meeting itself. Okay. Sonal, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
You can pose to the fourth question if there is no doubts in third question.
Okay. So yeah, yeah. Everyone is done with the query regarding anyone who wants to ask anything about this question that ma'am had explained. They can ask, or if we can skip to that next part.
Ma'am, can you please explain UML once again a little bit briefly?
What do you want? You want to end
UML.
it ER diagram.
No, no, just the UML part. ER is fine. I think.
We can't able to get you.
Ma'am, he is asking that can you please explain that UML part once again?
Actually, UML part is not there in the entire content of your week 4 content. So there is one more topic that is discussed in one part of the syllabus. So I have to differentiate between ER, I have given UML. UML is a broader representation of software system itself. But ER diagram, if you take, if you want to design a simple database, then you can go for this entity relationship diagram itself instead of going for UML. Because UML will represent the entire software system itself, which will consist of different small modules, sub-modules for the entire organization. That sub-modules will have either, as I have said earlier, there are two categories, right? Structured one, behavioral one. So any type of diagrams can be taken for UML representation, and that modules can be represented over there. And it is based on time. For example, if you are working in a project, whatever the duties that are assigned to you will be available in UML diagram, which will not be available in ER diagram. As well as what is the timeline to finish that particular module of that particular project will be available in UML diagram, which will not be available in entity relationship diagram. So that is the major difference, as well as it is used since it is used for software system pictorial representation for the software system, it is a large scale implementation. So you have to draw module by module. Finally, you have to integrate the entire module to get the organizational software system.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. So anyone can ask the queries regarding the lab assignments if you have any. Yeah, you please unmute yourself and please ask.
Yes, ma'am, I have a doubt. Actually, in my lab assignment, in the detailed report, for the third week one I'm talking about.
Which one, HTML or CSS?
The third one, the Jinja one.
Okay, yeah, okay, week 3, okay.
Yeah, week 3 lab assignment. All the test cases are passed. Only the last one here, some invalid input part is coming. Like the last category of it. In the third one, I'll just read it out if you can just explain what exactly this means. The statement goes like, for the invalid input.
Okay, so let me call up Adarsh.
If you can
Are you here?
Yes, only I'm here. Yeah, go ahead, Rivika.
Yes, for this statement here, does a table exist in output.html? If yes, the test case fails as it should not be created for invalid input. So if you can just explain this test case, because I haven't understood it really. And second of all, I tested it myself and no table like this. This case appears to be fail in the PDF, but I don't see where I've gone wrong exactly, really, because lost 5 marks.
Okay, so you're saying that so when we are you're entering an invalid input, it should give something like invalid input, right? Something went wrong.
Yeah, here it's saying that for invalid input, your code should respond in a specific manner. And third point says that does a table exist in the output.html? If yes, the test case fails as it should not be created for invalid inputs. That's what it is saying. And
Yeah, correct.
I've not understood what exactly.
See, so what happens is when you put an invalid input, what is expected from the HTML to display is something went wrong, invalid input, right? So there is no creation of table HTML table as such. Okay, but if your code is still creating a table, this means that something is happening even with the invalid input.
Okay, but
Right.
in table you mean which table? Because we in our assignment we just had one table for the course for the course details. Sorry, for the student details we had a table where we were displaying the student information of the.
Yeah. So that was the table. So see, what the test case says is, does the table exist in output.html, right? So output.html, if it is having a table, so what it says, if yes, the test case fails, that it should not be created, right? So what your HTML should create, something went wrong, right?
Yes,
Invalid
that's what
input,
it's
something
creating.
went wrong,
That's what it
right?
is
And
creating, sir, actually.
yeah, and there should not be a table created,
Correct.
right? But if the still output.html, there is a table. Okay, so the test case somewhere checks that if there is still a table, if you are putting an invalid input, if the table exists, then this test case fails. Okay, so ideally you should not have a table if for putting an invalid input.
Okay. Actually, whenever I'm putting invalid input, it's coming something went wrong, wrong inputs like the information that. So I think I'm not really cracked that test case. So if you could just even give the test case values that you're inputting, that would also be great in the report, because then you'll understand where we are going wrong actually.
See, actually, okay. The thing is, so the thing is, see, so what happens is, why do we call it an input as invalid? Two cases, whether if so one case is if you are putting in a student ID in case of a course ID, right? So in that case, it becomes invalid. And the second case is where the CSV file that has been given to you. So what happens? Every time it should take a CSV, and if this file, the value in the file exists, then we can say that it is a valid input. Okay.
Okay.
So there should not be storage of any value anywhere. Okay, the value should be retrieved from the CSV file, and that file can change. It is subjected to vary. That is why we are calling it sample CSV. So that just you for you to check whether whatever things you're doing is right or not. Okay, so if you're putting a value that is not, so you cannot say that putting this value will be input, will be a valid or not by yourself unless you have the access to data or the CSV that we are checking on.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, for some reason, if the value is hard coded in the table or in the code, what will happen? It will not match with the data that we are checking with.
Okay, I have hard coded only the S part and the C part. Apart from that, I'm not hard coded anything else.
So that's what I'm just explaining what might go wrong.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So in that case, what happens is, so that these two cases you understood where you can, what we are considering as invalid inputs.
Okay.
Okay, where the student data and the course data or the ID is interchanged. In that case, the input becomes invalid. And secondly, when the value does not even exist in the table. So in either of the case, it should give you what it should give. It should give something went wrong, right? Invalid input and something went wrong. Wrong. If the code is still creating table or histogram or anything, for that particular case, it should not create table, right? If it is still creating table, then what is happening? You have not taken care of invalid inputs.
Yeah. Actually, sir, I have tested it for a long time, so what got that test case. Sir, can you please, like in the future, whenever we have assignments, can you give the test case as well in the report, if possible, because that would be really helpful for all of us.
So the report itself is the test case,
Others,
right?
shall I answer this?
Yeah, sure.
So I think I joined this session a bit late, but as far as I can remember, the question initially was that if you can get the private test cases inputs, your assignment is evaluated against of, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess the evaluation reports that we have sent out for week 3, you can see that there is an example for each category or for each table. Means what are the inputs that are given to your Python program, and after that we have evaluated your results. So the example given there is the actual value that was passed to your program.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will test it again.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have one question about week 3 lab assignment. So essentially, where my code is going wrong is in producing the HTML, like the table. So since we have already been graded on that part, can you provide us with just the HTML code so that we can understand what changes you had to make, where we went wrong? Since
I think
I'm assuming that we won't be graded on that same thing again.
Okay. So see, the reason that why we are not basically emphasizing on providing the sample solution is because, as you also know, that there is no unique solution. No unique solution exists in such cases, right? Maybe you would have written a program in certain way, your friend would have done it in a certain way, and both of you would have got 100. Right, this is quite possible. So this is basically our analogy is coming from for not providing the sample solutions in this course, because this will happen for all of the lab assignments that you will be getting. Right? No unique solution will ever exist for any of the assignment that you will be getting through. So what best I can suggest you right now is there are many of your peers who are getting 100 out of 100 means full scores. I think it would be better if you can ask some of your peers to help you out there and they can share their sample solutions. I guess one has already tried to share it in the discourse. I am not able to find the exact reference right now, but maybe you can just take in the discourse once and can see. One I remember means one guy has shared the solution once the deadline was over. So that's the best thing that we can suggest you.
Okay, I was actually trying to not ask other people because that is somewhat against the rules. I wasn't 100% sure. That's why I thought I'll ask you.
After the deadline, it's okay.
Okay,
you can check what went wrong and what can you improve there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But in most cases, you should be able to understand why the test cases actually got failed. Since I have said that means we are also providing you the values that your assignment is evaluated against. So you can simply try to create a dummy data.csv again and can see how your program reacts if you provide the same inputs to your program again.
Yes, sir.
Got it, sir. I got the test case. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Sir, I had a few questions.
Yeah, yes, please.
So I was getting a lot of errors, in my detailed report. So first of all, is the data that was used to test against was the same data that we were given?
Yeah. The example that is given in your report, that is the data your evaluation is evaluated against.
Okay, so and we are not marked on using CSS and styling for this assignment.
That is not evaluated.
Okay, so the problem that I have is it says in the detailed report that the table present in the output and there is a cross against it, but all of my templates have a table and I've checked it against all the possibilities I could think of, and for where it should generate a table, it does generate a table. So I don't know what went wrong.
What is the problem in your test cases? Means test cases saying that you have not generated the table when it was required, is it?
Yeah. It says is a table present in the output HTML? It's a cross right in front of it.
Okay, for student or for course data checks? For both of
Both.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in that case, what I can suggest you right now is that that means your program was not able to handle the input that was given to it. Evaluated it in a slightly different way, and it end up creating a something went wrong page for those inputs.
All the invalid inputs are fine. The part where it says check for invalid inputs runs fine. So I don't think that is a problem, because I always made sure if there was an invalid input, it went to the something went wrong.
Yeah, how basically do you check if an input is valid or not?
I check the number of inputs we have in case somebody decided to give 4 inputs instead of 3.
Okay.
And then I have a lot of logic in behind, that always checks that if I don't find even the code that have been provided to me, the student ID or the course code, I still throw in something went wrong page.
Okay. So means I'm not sure, but basically went wrong. Maybe you could write to us on the email address, on our personal email addresses to know the exact issue. But right now, what I can suggest you is the same thing. Your program somehow was not able to interpret whether that input was valid or not. Because if your program is interpreting it as an invalid input, it would create that something went wrong page, and definitely the something went page test case would go correct there, because your program is already evaluating them as correct, invalid.
Can you suggest a way in which the program might interpret it in a different way, the input?
Yeah, so means okay. If we talk about the length of the characters, right, for anything, let's say for student ID or for course ID, I have personally seen some assignments where some validation is being put, means they are trying to check the number of digits, in the student ID or in the course ID. If that is not matching to 4, they are basically rejecting it and are trying to create the something went wrong page. So if you have done a similar type of thing, that is probably the reason that you are not getting those test cases correct. Because if
I haven't checked the length. I just, whenever I get a numeric input, I go through the data. If that is not present, then I generate the error page.
Okay. So, of course, means it's difficult to answer this question without seeing the submission.
Okay, so should I write to the support team?
Can you just write to me personally on that, please? I will try to get it.
In the Zoom chat, sir?
On the email address after this session. On my email address, I'll just type my email address in the chat.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. So I'll attach my submission file too.
No, you can just just give me 1 second. Maybe you can just create a thread in the discourse. Okay, just clearly stating your roll number, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, sir. And should I upload the sample solution
no,
file?
No, that is not required. That is not required.
Okay.
Just clearly state your roll number. That's it. That's what we want.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, there's a query in the chat as well, that how this auto grading is basically done. Because of course, at the end of the day, we are basically evaluating the HTML. So we need some kind of parser. So we are basically using the beautiful soap parser there.
Got it, sir. Got it.
Sir, my graded assignment week 4, sir, I am getting an error saying that, starting a matplotlib GUI outside of the main thread will likely fail, and I'm not getting the graph.
Which operating system you are using?
So I'm doing it in Replit, sir.
Okay. All right. So you basically need to specify the backend in that case. The default backend used by Matplotlib, as far as I can remember right now, is TKAGG. But I think you may need to use a non-interactive backend in that case, because you are not presenting the input it's right there in real time.
Sorry, sir, what should I specify, sir?
The Matplotlib backend, I think I have tried to answer this in one of the discourse posts.
Okay. Okay.
Can you just yeah, I think the session will go on for some more time here. I'll try to get that thread and we'll share it here in the chat for all of your reference.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I can see one hand raised, Bhavya.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I had a question. I read on the forum somewhere that there is a consideration that the best 3 out of 6 lab assignments will be taken for grading. Is this true or?
Yeah. This is true.
Okay, and these count as a part of our graded assignments, right? I mean, they contribute to the portion that is reserved for graded assignment scores in our total course score.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
So someone was also asking about that practice assignment bonus marks. Can you please ask it here once again, such that it will be
Yes,
helpful?
ma'am. I got the reply. I found the document. Basically, what I was asking is there a deadline for the practice assignment submission to avail the bonus mark of 5? And the deadline is apparently 23rd March.
Okay.
Is there in the grading document?
Okay. So, yeah. One more person was asking about that practice assignment bonus marks. So, everything is clear right now. If anyone else wants to post something, they can ask or can also write it in chat box.
I have put up a discourse link in the chat. So the reference that I was talking about, the Matplotlib backend, I think you will get each and every detail related to that in this thread. Whatever different issues that you could probably face while using Matplotlib, I think all of those would be answered in this thread. Yeah, so I'm not sure who was asking that question. I don't remember the name now.
Yes.
I got it, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyone else who wants to post any queries regarding lab assignment, then they can ask it now only. Okay, so I think we had no more queries about lab assignments. All of you are clear with the queries that you were asking in the. Yeah. You can ask. You can ask about the older lab assignments also. Snehil.
Yeah, I had a problem with anchors in the first lab assignment.
Yeah, yes, please. What was the issue?
They said the first anchor tag not working. After the third page, the second page, personal page, from personal page, they started writing a number of anchor tags not working.
The number of anchor tags, or you're talking about any specific anchor tag?
Yes, the first anchor tag is not working, second anchor tag is not working, and most of them seem to work fine. Only one I found an issue with was I wrote instead of index.html, somewhere I saw that if you write /.html, it always leads you to the index page.
Okay, so there is also one common observation that we have basically done for week 2 HTML lab assignment is that there is a pipe symbol that is shown in the screencast just for the purpose of separating two links from each other. So if you have tried to put that pipe as the text of the anchor link, I think that would end up losing your marks. So that test case will get in that scenario.
Okay, sir. Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Because pipe should not be included as the text, because if you are clicking on the pipe, it is navigating to a different page, but that shouldn't happen.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else wants to ask something? Okay. So I think we are done with all the queries. So if you all do not have any queries, then we can wind up this session.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so there is just one advice that I want to give all of you. Basically, there is a requirement that we are expecting from each of you for each of the lab assignments that you are submitting. We want all of the required files to be wrapped inside the root directory of the zip submission that you are making on the course portal. So if your files are not present in the root directory, the auto grader won't be able to read any of your file. And in that way, means you will be getting the score as 0 straight up. There's no evaluation that is happening in that case. So that's just an advice that please take care that you keep all of your required files in the root directory of your zip submission. If you are not sure how to basically do that, you can ask us in the discourse. Or if you are doing it on the Replit, you can simply download the project as zip. The Replit takes care of wrapping all of the files inside the root directory. Yeah, if you are using Replit, that shouldn't be a problem.
So just to clarify, when you say root directory, directly inside the zip, the first thing, like
correct. Yeah.
Basically, if I have a app.py, I'm just zipping it and I'm submitting that. No other
Correct.
things. Okay.
That's what we want. Yeah. So what other people's or some in those who are opting for these type of lab assignments for the first time, they will probably make a mistake by keeping all of the files in a folder, and they will zip that file. So what that will result in is that once you unzip that file, you will get the folder. You won't get the required files at the required place.
Got it, sir. Got it.
Sir, a question regarding zipping files for lab assignment 4.
Yeah.
So all the files have to be in the root directory, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So does that mean I have to zip the static and template folders individually as well, or do they just go as is?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
We have to make one Python file and 2 folders, right? For this
Correct.
one.
Yeah.
So the Python file will go into the folder as a zip.
What you will do here is you will select, let's say you are on the directory where you are able to see app.py, your static folder and your templates folder.
Yes, sir.
What you will see, just select all of those 3 files at once. If you are using a Windows operating system,
Right
do a
click
right click
and WinZip. I right click and zip.
and yeah, means send
Okay.
it to and compress it. Yeah, whatever.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so since you have raised this thing here, I also want to highlight one thing. So means whenever you try to include an empty folder in a zip, that won't get included, and this will create problems for you while execution. So what happens is that if you will try to submit a static folder without any image file in it, that won't get zipped, and ultimately what will happen when your assignment will be evaluated is that there won't be any static folder, and that will probably generate an error. This can cause some loss of marks. So what I would suggest you is, in order to include that static folder in your zip submission, just create a random text file and put it inside, so that the zip doesn't ignore it. Right. I hope you get it right.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat that static part once again? I just sorry, lost you.
Yeah, so basically if you try to zip an empty folder, that won't happen. The output zip won't be having that empty folder in it. If you try to extract all of the files from that zip again, you won't see that folder. But you want that folder to be there because that's important for evaluation. Like the static folder is also required for evaluation purpose. So if you want that folder to be included in the zip, you basically have to create a temporary file with any random text. You can create a text file with any random text and put it in the static folder so that it can be included in the zip file. Once you are zipping all of the files, that static folder will also go inside that zip. Otherwise, it won't if it's an empty folder.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you can try this thing as
Okay, I can see one hand raised. Sarthak Bisht.
Yeah, sorry if I'm asking a redundant question. Can you give us some guidelines about the project for the MAD 1 course? Would it be the same topic like the flashcard one from last semester, or are you planning to have a new topic?
No.
Yes, we are planning to have a new project this time, and definitely we'll try to publish the problem statement sooner than the last time.
Okay,
Like,
sure.
so we'll
Because the
inform you well
earlier,
advance.
sure, because
Yeah.
earlier we get it, it's easy to do things in the beginning of the semester as compared to do it later when things become hectic.
Yeah, got it. Yes, that's why means we are trying to release it as soon as we can.
Sure, thank you.
So can we expect it by the end of quiz 1, the release of the project?
Sorry, means I don't want to make any commitments right here.
Okay.
We are working on it, and yeah, means we'll try to release it as soon as possible from our.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Vignesh, are you speaking? Okay, I think so. Anyone more? Anyone that anyone can ask queries regarding this previous lab assignment also, as well as this week's lab assignment also. And if there is not any queries, we can end up with the end of the session. Okay, so I think we can wind up. So thank you all for coming to the session. So, okay, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Sir, we can stop the live streaming.